If you love donuts and want to satisfy your sweet tooth, but think making them from scratch is too hard, you definitely need to watch this video to the end. Hi, I'm Ria, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to make delectable, soft, and chewy donuts. Now come on, let's get started. So let's start by making our dough. I'm adding 1.5 cups of whole milk to my food processor. And I'm gonna add 1 packet of active yeast. You can use instant yeast if you have it. And I'm gonna also add 1/4 cup of sugar. This will help to activate the yeast and we'll give this a good stir and let it sit for about 10 minutes so the yeast can double in size. This is what the yeast should look like right now after it's been sitting for 10 minutes. We're gonna give these eggs a good quick whisk. We don't want to overbeat the eggs. I'm going to just put my blade back in there. I don't know why I removed my blade, but we're going to pour our eggs into this mixture. And then we're going to add our butter. I have 1.5 sticks of butter melted. You want to melt your butter and let it cool off a little bit. We don't want to burn our yeast. And I'm gonna pulse this a few times to combine all the ingredients. If you don't have a food processor, don't worry, you can make this dough by hand. Just mix everything in a bowl until you have a nice sticky dough. So I'm gonna add some more flour. You wanna add your flour in batches and mix as you go because you don't wanna overwhelm the food processor. And even if you're mixing it in a bowl, you wanna add your flour slowly instead of all at once. So I'm just doing this in a slow process. The food processor is so simple and easy to use for this recipe. If you have one, try making your dough in the food processor. This is what it looks like at this point before we finish adding the rest of the flour. If you enjoy easy, simple, delicious recipes, please remember to subscribe down below. I post videos every single week. And please leave me a comment down below and let me know if you like this recipe. And don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you're enjoying watching this video. I'm gonna go ahead and add the rest of the flour. Our dough is almost ready. Let me tell you, the first time I ever tried making donuts, they came out a little hard and dense. I'm not gonna lie. The goal is to get soft, fluffy donuts. And the secret is in the dough. We want to get a nice, soft, sticky dough. If you have a firm and not sticky dough, you'll end up with some hard and dense donuts. Make sure your dough is soft and sticky and you will get the best light and fluffy donuts you'll ever try. Our dough looks good and it's ready to be poured into this bowl. I have this bowl that I'm gonna lightly oil with 2 tablespoons of oil, and then we're gonna add our dough into the bowl. Now the reason why we're gonna add some oil in the bowl and then I'm also gonna add some on top of the dough is so that the dough won't dry out as it's rising. I'm actually gonna put this in the fridge. So this is what the dough looks like. It should be nice and sticky. And I'm just gonna pour a little bit of oil on top and we're gonna cover it. And I'm gonna put this in the fridge for 2 hours. You can actually make this overnight and cook it the next morning. So it's been 2 hours. Let's see what our dough looks like. This looks perfect. I'm gonna use my fist to just press all the air bubbles out, and then we're gonna remove the dough and I'm gonna flour the board so the dough doesn't stick to the board. And I'm gonna gently knead my dough. So remember, we wanna keep our dough nice and soft. We don't wanna over knead the dough and make it firm. So I'm gently kneading a few times until it's nice and smooth. I'm gonna add a little more flour to the board and then we're gonna roll it out with my rolling pin. This looks great. Now let's go ahead and cut our donuts. I'm using a wine glass because I don't have a cookie cutter that's big enough to cut out my donuts. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut my donuts like this. And then I have another cookie cutter here that's shaped like a star. I'm just gonna use that because it was small enough to cut out the middle. This is coming along really nicely. So I lined some baking sheets right here, some cookie sheets with some parchment paper, and I lightly floured the parchment paper, and we're gonna transfer all our donuts and donut holes on there. And we're just gonna knead the rest of the dough out that's remaining from the cutouts, and we're just gonna roll it out and cut some more out. It's pretty simple and easy to do. So here we have our cutout donuts. They look beautiful. We have our donut holes, and we're just gonna place these in the oven. We're not gonna turn the oven on. We're just gonna place it in the oven with the oven light on and let this rise for an hour. In the meantime, let's make the glaze. So it's a pretty simple, easy recipe. It's a half a cup of milk, a teaspoon of vanilla, and 4 cups of powdered sugar. I'm just gonna sift the powdered sugar so we don't have any lumps. And then we're just gonna give this a nice good stir until all of the powdered sugar is nice and melted. And it's a pretty easy, simple recipe. I'm gonna just set this aside until we're ready to glaze our donuts. Now let's get to frying those delicious, soft donuts. Our dough is ready. Look how beautiful and fluffy they look. Our little donut holes and our donuts, they've risen really nicely. In this pan, I added 3 cups of oil, and we want the temperature to be 340 to 350 degrees in temperature. So I'm gonna drop about 3 in the oil, and we're gonna start flipping it after a couple seconds. I like to flip it about 3 times so it fries evenly. Now, you don't wanna put this in the pan and walk away because they fry pretty fast. They fry in about 45 to 50 seconds. This is looking beautiful. So we want a nice light golden brown donut. You don't want dark brown donuts. So you have to really keep an eye on them. So these look perfect right now. They're ready to come out. It's really quick and easy. So I have a rack right here. We're just gonna place these on here. So just drip the rest of the oil off. I lined it with some parchment paper on the bottom. They look beautiful, yes. And we're just gonna repeat the process and just add another 3 donuts in there. You can put up to 4 if you'd like, and just keep flipping them at least 3 times until they're nice and golden brown. Just keep an eye on your heat because the oil tends to get hot fast. So I check my temperature and I turn the heat down a little bit or turn it back up a little bit. So you just wanna keep an eye on it and just keep flipping your donuts, and it looks ready and good to go. It's pretty simple and easy. Look how soft and fluffy these donuts look. Are you getting hungry watching this? Doesn't that look scrumptious? So I got about 40 donuts out of this recipe because I used the wine glass as my cookie cutter, and the wine glass was not that big. So I'm gonna drop in my donut holes. It only takes about 30 seconds to cook. So let's go ahead and flip these a couple times, and they're pretty much ready to come out. And we're just gonna get ready to glaze our donuts. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just gonna place my donuts into the glaze like this, one by one. And I'm just dipping on one side and just placing it on the rack. You wanna keep an eye on your glaze, make sure it doesn't get too cold, because if it gets too cold, the glaze gets hard fast. So you just wanna keep an eye on it and maybe pop it in the microwave for about 30 seconds and mix it a little bit. Or you can add a tablespoon of water to thin it out just a bit. Look at this delicious, beautiful, soft and fluffy, mouth-watering donut. Let me break into it right here so you can see how nice and soft and fluffy and chewy this looks. Doesn't that look beautiful? Look how perfect this glaze looks. Look how soft and chewy. It's not hard and dense. This is so delectable, so delicious, so light and fluffy. I hope you guys will give this recipe a try. Please remember to give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this recipe. Leave me a comment down below and let me know if you have any questions about this recipe. And if you give it a try, please let me know, comment down below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Easy Cooking with Ria. I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye.